Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video for you. So I've been mentioning here and there in my videos about not feeling well and my sinusitis and then my stomach pain and all that. A number of you were asking on Instagram then, well, how did you treat it? Or we think we might have mold too, or what were your symptoms and all these things. So today I'm just gonna sit down and go through all of that with you. So grab a cup of tea, coffee, popcorn, whatever, keep yourself entertained. Or also, I love to listen to sit down videos as I work. So if you like to do that, go ahead and just have me playing while you sweep your floor. I don't know how much interest there is overall in knowing this, but I hope that this can be helpful for those of you that have been asking for more information, and that hopefully maybe can get you back on the path to feeling great. I should probably put a little disclaimer in here and say this is not medical advice. This is just me sharing my experience and what worked for me. So I'm going to go through, tell you how we found out we even had mold in our house, what we did to treat it, also my symptoms of having sinusitis and what we did to treat that. So I hope this can be helpful. I'll timestamp this video so you can go through the chapters. Basically, if you just hover over the timeline on the bottom of the video, there will be different chapters and it should say like sinusitis symptoms or mold treatment or all these things, so that if you're just looking for a specific part of the video, you can hop around and find what you're looking for. I have a lot of information to cover, but I'm going to try to keep it moving. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and start with my sinusitis symptoms. Those symptoms, I have a list of them, and I hope I even remember them all. I know sometimes it's easy to forget. And I will say also, you don't have to have all these symptoms in order to have sinusitis, but a doctor can easily look at your sinuses. So anyways, one of the things that were most prominent for me was constantly stuffy nose, and then dizziness and feeling off balance so much. And this was probably my most debilitating thing, because it's hard to drive when you have no idea when you'll feel dizzy, or doesn't feel safe to drive, or even just sometimes through the house kind of like catching myself or grabbing onto things because suddenly everything just feels like you're walking on water. And then I also would off and on get pain around my eyes, especially like right here, and I would have such bad pressure in my head. Some days it just felt like I was hanging upside down all day, like that kind of pressure, just all over, and especially in the back of my neck here, I would feel it so intense. In fact, I could not even sleep in my bed for a couple months, I want to say, probably 10-ish weeks, because I just could not lay in our bed. Like the sectional is super firm, and I guess just how soft the bed was. And we have a good mattress, I would say. We've had other people sleep on the same mattress when we had it in our guest room, and they all said like how good of a mattress it was and everything. Something about it just was not working for me at all. So anyways, as soon as I lay down, even with maybe multiple pillows, it would feel like my whole body is just flipped upside down, and couldn't sleep like that. I also had my first ever migraine through that time. This was also off and on that my gums would hurt, and like it's all your gums. It feels like you have a cavity in every tooth. And so just chewing anything, especially meat, was really hard. Like if anything would get caught in your teeth, it would hurt so bad. Oh my goodness, it just feels like this is a whole complaining session. Not what I'm trying to do, just telling you my experience, how I felt. I also had a time, I think this only happened twice, that I would be driving and suddenly I realized I couldn't read signs. Everything was blurry, and that really scared me. According to my doctor, that was also just part of the sinusitis. And then something that I thought was helpful was, obviously I had tons of mucus coming out, and my doctor was asking what color it was, and I found out that, so clear mucus, completely normal. If it's yellow, that's not good. If it's green, it's bad. If it's brown, it's very bad. So I actually had a mixture of yellow, green, and brown. Some days it would vary some, but that's a pretty good sign that you probably have sinusitis if you have a lot of mucus. And I know this is so gross, but spitting this mucus all day long and night, like just, yeah, constantly spitting it out, it seemed like. I did also feel it drip in the back of my throat, which is why the stomach pain. So apparently you actually swallow a couple quarts of saliva a day. Completely normal. Everybody does it. However, because of my sinusitis, I was swallowing all this infection all day, and it actually like burnt down my esophagus. And this is so interesting to me. I thought I was having heart palpitations, and it was really starting to bother me because who wants heart problems? And I was having them right when I was at my doctor's office, and he's like, no, your heart sounds absolutely perfect. Like every part of your heart and the way it's working, and just you couldn't ask for a better functioning heart than you have. And I was like, okay, well, what is this that I'm feeling? And apparently it's, I think he called it esophagus flutters. It was having spasms, and that's what felt exactly like heart palpitations to me. So super interesting. But basically, after all of this infection had kept coming down my throat through my system, now my stomach was flared up. So that is a lot better. And I should say, at the moment I'm filming this, I did just have another doctor's appointment. We are about 90% there. I have a teeny tiny touch of the sinusitis, which I figured I still did because some of these symptoms I still have off and on. Not as extreme as they were usually, but still a little bit there. But worlds better than it was. So that wraps up like kind of my biggest symptoms. Moving on to treatment that I am supposed to be taking. And one of the first things my doctor mentioned was that I needed to find an air purifier. Would be super helpful. And Medify actually reached out to me and asked if they could send me this air purifier like 2 weeks after my doctor had mentioned this. So I agreed to working with them in this portion of today's video. So thank you, Medify, for sending this beautiful air purifier. We had got a super cheap one before this, just like off Amazon or whatever, and I will say it is day and night difference between the two. The first thing I noticed after we got it was I slept so much better. Like it was just kind of ironic. I felt like I slept deeper. That's something I was not expecting. But we got the MA125 air purifier. So this air purifier is perfect for large rooms. It has wheels, so it's super easy to move around. And it removes airborne dust and pollen. I know some people who use this and have noticed a big difference in their seasonal allergies because it takes out the pollen, it takes out virus and bacteria particles, odors, smoke, and more. And about the odors, I think it's so funny. I've noticed that, say I'm making homemade tortilla chips and there's some smoke in the house, this thing will buzz up. So I usually have it on auto. It has a touch screen, and the ring around the power button will change color depending on the quality of your home. So blue is what you want it to be. That means like, all right, clean air, we're good to go. Well, if I start frying stuff, this thing picks it up within minutes and flitzes to like a red, which is the worst. And it'll also automatically then turn the fan up. If you have it set on automatic, it does have a timer, so you can adjust it if you only want it to run at night or only through the day or whatever you want. It has 9 fan speeds, so you can adjust it. I do have a discount code for you guys. I'll put it in the description box below. So check them out if you're interested in that. Okay, now on to the actual like physical things my doctor gave me to be taking for treatment. This is what I've been taking, and it has proven to be so effective, although it doesn't have the cutest packaging, but oh well, I'll take it if it works. So this Sinu Orega is the nasal spray. I'm gonna try to link what I can down below. I don't know if I can link everything, but I'll try. The main ingredients in this is oregano, bay leaf, sage, and clove in sea salt and water. So oregano is actually very, very effective in treating sinusitis. I do this, I put it into like a little nasal spray thing and do this twice a day. And then I have this, which is probably the star of the show. This is Oregacillin. And if you can actually look this up on Amazon, and it has crazy reviews. Just read through the reviews there and you'll find out it can be used for a lot of other things as well. But again, a big ingredient in this one is oregano. And so anyway, I thought that was super interesting. This stuff reeks. Like you can tell it's going to be good for you just by smelling it. One of those. And then next up is this Japanese honeysuckle. Oh, and I didn't say, I take one of these a day. And then the Japanese honeysuckle, I mix 3/4 teaspoon in water and take that twice a day. Did that make sense? Then I have Kudzu. Now, totally honest, I did take this for a while. I believe I took 3/4 teaspoon also in water twice a day. Same plan as this one. However, I ended up feeling floaty on this one. Like, I've never been drunk, but I imagine it's what it feels like super like woozy and off. I don't know why. That's happened before to me on certain supplements. I don't know if there's something in these supplements that is all the same and that my body just doesn't like. But Kudzu is supposedly like a miracle worker in sinus issues. So anyway, I did take this for a while, but then I stopped and have been taking the rest of these since then. And then he also said to twice a day boil some hot water, put some mint drops in them, like essential oil mint, and then put a towel over your head and steam your face for 10 minutes twice a day. Oh, and then eat lots of garlic. That's always good for infection or sickness or anything like that. So that was my plan of treatment and has been effective for me. And yeah, so thankful we got to do it that way instead of still being on antibiotics. I'll probably keep taking this for just a couple more weeks to make sure that we've cleared everything out. But yeah, I'm super happy with being able to do it this way. Okay, switching gears a little bit now to talk about finding out how we even had mold. So it started off with that visit to my doctor, and we were talking about potentially what if it was mold. So he gave us these little mold plates, which I think I can find the link for that. I'll try to link them below. I think they were like $8 each, and they're just like this sized. I asked Josh if we still had ours, and he's like, no, we threw them out. So they were pretty gross. Basically, it has instructions with it, but you basically just set it out a certain distance from the wall, leave it out for a certain amount of time, and then you cover the lid, put them in a cupboard or like away. I think it has to be a dark place, or I think it's a week, and then you check them and see what you find. So it is completely normal to find mold in these plates. That's normal. However, it's the color of the mold that makes or breaks the deal. So if you have any black mold, that is where the problem lies. And that is what you don't want to find, but we did. So anyways, from there, we were like, okay, well, we're gonna have to do something about this. So we started looking around and actually had talked to 3 different companies. 3 different people came out and checked for mold in our house. Everybody said and agreed with our mold plates that yes, we had some. And if you're local and would like the names and numbers of these places, just send me a DM on Instagram at this.golden.hour, and I'd be happy to send that to you. I just don't feel quite good about putting that out on YouTube for spammers and everybody. But I do have that information if you want it. For the size of what we needed cleaned, it was going to cost about $10,000 to have it professionally done, which is obviously a ton of money. So Josh was actually talking with the one guy, and he's super, super nice. If you're local, I would highly recommend him. He came and looked at everything, and then he actually told Josh if he ever needed help with anything, whatever, let him know. And he actually ended up just working with Josh. He told Josh all the equipment he should rent, which yes, you do need these big fans to commercial fans to blow out, because one thing about mold is if you mess with it, it'll fly up and try to find other landing spots. So unless you are actively blowing it out of the house, it's gonna just kind of float around and land and actually spread. So that's the last thing we wanted. Okay, my camera stopped recording because I guess I'm going too long. It shuts off after a while. So anyways, I'm gonna try to keep this moving. Basically, what we did then was completely block off any doors that come up from the basement, because that's where our mold was. We taped them off with plastic, and then Josh got these great big commercial, I think he said it's called a negative air machine. It's very, very important to keep the mold and particles and stuff from spreading to other parts of the house. So I asked him to write down step by step, and you guys, I would have loved to film this process. I was actually thinking about it while it was happening, but you better believe there is no way I was gonna go down into this mold infested area while it was being all ripped apart after I have having felt so awful for so long. Anyway, I asked him to write down step by step what he did so that I could relay it to you guys, because he actually did all the dirty work down there and he wrote it up for me. So I'm gonna go through this and tell you guys everything he did to get rid of the mold. So first thing was to remove all the paneling. So this house has 2-foot thick stone walls. Well, in the basement, in front of the stone wall was actually paneling, which was awful because that space between the paneling and the stone wall was covered in mold. So first thing he had to do was rip off all the paneling, all the ceiling tiles, and we even found some, we as in he, even found some mold growing like on things in the basement that we just hadn't noticed before. Cardboard, wood, paper, things like that are perfect growing places for mold. So you want to get rid of as much of all of that as possible. Just like throw it out. The wood surfaces have to be sprayed with special mold disinfectant, and I'll link the 2 options below that you can use. The first one is called Benefect Botanical Disinfectant. This is more of a natural, it's actually made out of thyme oil, like the herb thyme. So that's kind of cool, but that will kill mold on the surfaces. Or else you can get, it's called Foster's 4080 Disinfectant, and that also takes care of the mold. So wood surfaces, you have to spray with this and then wipe it down with like disposable like paper towels. Then on we have concrete floors and stone walls and stuff. There you only need to spray it down well and you don't have to wipe it with a paper towel. And that's really all that we had to do with that as far as actually killing the mold. After that was done, we have been sure to run a humidifier or dehumidifier at all times, because if you keep the air from being humid, like obviously the wet area is what helps mold to grow. So if you keep it nice, the air nice and dry, you shouldn't have a problem with it. However, another thing that they did say was if you want to take an extra precaution to mold coming again, you can paint everything with a mold inhibiting paint as an extra as an extra precaution. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. I know it was kind of long. I hope it was clear and made sense. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, or if you need any of the phone numbers to these mold people, message me over on Instagram and I can get that to you. So thanks so much for being here, you guys. Again, I hope this was helpful to anybody else going through what we went through. I hope you have an amazing weekend and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.